Hi, I'm James Gunn,
I'm Dean Lorey.
and here are some of our favorite references and Easter eggs from episodes 1 and 2 of Creature Commandos.
I thought Congress put a stop to all Task Force X activities since your daughter outed you.
Technically, Congress said Argus can't use incarcerated human beings as mission operatives any longer. But what about beings that aren't human?
I wrote the series before I took over as the head of DC. It was something that we had ready to go. It was tied into a little bit to Superman, which was also being written before I took over at DC. And so I knew that was what was happening. I think it's a soft, reboot is what you might say. And it's also a soft launch of the DCU, in which we see some of the threads were continuing. Obviously, Rick Flag Sr.'s son was killed in Corto Maltese. Obviously, the Weasel had a not great experience in Corto Maltese, and there's things like that. Peacemaker exists. We see him at some point. But it just seemed to be the most natural and easiest way to deal with a difficult situation.
What is that thing?
The Weasel. It's one of the few soldiers still alive from Project Starfish in Corto Maltese, so we know it has what it takes to survive. Sorry. I didn't mean to intimate anything about your son, Flag. When he died in Corto Maltese, he died a hero.
I mean, Rick Flag is such a fun character. He's a fun character in the comics who's had all sorts of different manifestations over the years. And I think in the DCU, he's a great character. Grillo is an amazing actor, a great guy, a good friend of mine. And so it's been fun crafting this character. And we're going to see him change as time goes on. He is something in this show, and then he's kind of is something else in Superman, which is a smaller role, and then he's a very major role in Peacemaker Season 2.
The battalion, calling themselves the Sons of Themyscira, violently crossed the border into Pakistan. The Sons are said to be working at the behest of the rogue Amazonian and reputed sorceress Circe. Circe claims to be the rightful heir to the throne of the perhaps mythical, perhaps real, all-female island nation of Themyscira.
I think people are aware of Wonder Woman, so I think there's some belief that it exists, but I don't know how worldwide known it is. James,
I think it's coming at a time at a point in time when people have heard of Themyscira. Now people are starting to believe that it exists, but still some people don't believe the story of an island of all women. So it's just becoming people are just becoming aware of it. I don't think we've definitely decided for sure who they are, because I don't want to. I think I know who a couple of them are, but I don't want to say it here on Rotten Tomatoes because I don't want it to be forever considered canon.
I don't feel good about this, my son.
Shall each man find a wife for his bosom, and each beast have his mate, and I be alone?
No, but
I yearn for a wife, Father. What is it to be human, if not for love?
I'm a big fan of the original novel, and Frankenstein in the comics is a bit more of a good guy. Our Frankenstein is not. And I do think that in some ways I really took a lot of stuff from the original novel, even more so than like the Universal horror movies or the Hammer horror movies, as inspiration for The Bride of Frankenstein and Frankenstein. I really think it's what Mary Shelley did to this day, basically inventing horror as a very young woman at a time when young women were not the most culturally accepted artists. She created horror, and so it's one of the greatest books of all time, in a way, and I'm really glad to have that be a piece of what we're creating.
the womb is one's tether to the universe, to the fragile social system of humanity. But your bride, she came from nothing to something in an instant. She has no tether, doesn't know where she is or who we are. She is but a cluster of fear and not knowing. Stop stirring, dear. Please. Everything is fine.
These are for you.
Hey, I'm James Gunn.
I'm Dean Lorey.
Here are some of our favorite references and Easter eggs from Creature Commandos Episode 3.
You getting the hang of this, Tin Man?
Most certainly, sir.
Good. Me and Easy been through this more than a few times. Just follow our lead. German forces shouldn't be too far up ahead. We just need to take them by surprise.
One of the reasons we want to include him is because it's one of G.I. Robot's most favorite memories. When he's asked who his friends are, it's the boys from Easy Company. And so I think we wanted to see them, we wanted to meet them. It really does humanize G.I. Robot that he's got friends, that he has, feelings for.
Yeah, I think that, in creating the DCU, it isn't about just creating like this one story with a big bad that, everything is. This is about creating a universe, and a universe has a history to it. And part of the universe's history is Sergeant Rock and Easy Company, who fought in World War II. And this happens to be a universe in which metahumans and scientific anomalies and some forms of magic have existed in our world for a long time in the DCU. And so we get to see, the fun of kind of a straight World War II story, but with a murderous Nazi killing robot with them. And to use these classic characters of Sergeant Rock and Bulldozer and Little Sure Shot, and to be able to see them animated along with our world and to be a part of the DC universe made it really fun.
G.I. Robot, at attention, sir.
Well, hello. I'm Dr. William Magnus, a scientist and engineer. My specialty is artificial intelligence.
Are you a Nazi?
No, I'm not a Nazi.
Oh.
Dr. Will Magnus is the creator of the Metal Men, which was my favorite group when I was a child. I think that we're being able to set up that, Dr. Magnus was definitely inspired and learned something from the automaton that is G.I. Robot that leads him to creating the Metal Men down the road. And we see the beginnings of those designs on the wall, which is a really fun moment for me to bring into it. Played by Alan Tudyk, by the way. Alan Tudyk based his performance on Mike Nichols, who directed Alan in a play. Remember that? He's totally Mike Nichols.
Yes. Yes, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
You are going to help me a great deal.
To murder Nazis?
No, but studying you will help me create the next wave of automatons.
Hi, I'm James Gunn.
And I'm Dean Lorey, and these are some of our favorite Easter eggs and references from Episode 4 of Creature Commandos.
What the hell was that? Waller?
I don't know.
She's obviously pulling some sort of Jedi mind trick on you.
I don't know. It seemed
What?
legitimate.
So Cersei shows Amanda Waller a vision of the future that there's a reason that Cersei claims she is trying to kill Princess Olenna Rostovich, because Olenna is going to bring in this terrible Armageddon to the world. And we don't know whether Cersei is trying to trick Amanda Waller or whether this is a true vision or not. But Amanda, Waller chooses to believe that it's possible and it's true, and Rick Flag chooses to believe that it is not true. And so we see these two, opponents coming up. And in that vision, yes, we see Superman, we see Supergirl, we see Hawkgirl, we see Mr. Terrific, we see Peacemaker, we see Batman, we see Guy Gardner, Green Lantern, I think. Oh boy, we see a lot of people. We worked pretty hard on that, and Dean can tell you I was nope, can't show him, don't show him.
James was very specific.
Character, and then so they had some characters that I sort of nixed, and then I said, no, I think you should put in, Blue Beetle, because, he's a character that we want to continue dealing with, and we're going to. I think that it was, that was really, really fun sequence. And boy, did they do a great job animating to it. It is pretty creepy. And yes, that is Gorilla Grodd. That's exactly correct.
This ain't enough for me, is it? I'm a big boy.
I'm hungry. I've been on a long flight.
What you looking at, Manic Panic?
Give her back her food.
It's Congarelli.
I don't know who that duck is, but the girl is Nosferatu. That's Nosferatu.
Yeah, Nosferatu. But to tell you the truth, I couldn't tell you about that.
I think they made up is the duck supposed to be somebody, or did they make him up?
I'm not sure.
I don't know. They may have based that duck on somebody, but people have noticed that still, and that still was out somewhere. I think it was at the New York Comic-Con presentation, and so people have seen it, and they've asked me who that duck is, and I really don't know if it's somebody.
I'm not sure. I'll have to ask Rick.
I think they made him up. I think he's not a real guy. Now this was my mistake, right? Because they kept showing me all these prison scenes, and I go, "Oh, that's great. I'm glad he's in there." And it would be a, kind of like Chemo or something that I recognize. And they thought they were like, "Oh yeah, he knows all these characters," but there might be characters they slip past me that I don't know. So I don't know every character in DC, just a lot of them. So we'll see what happens.
I feel like every obscure character in the world got in there at some point. Animal, vegetable, and there was like a million deep cuts in there.
There, give me that. There you go. Now everyone's happy, right? Except for you, because you no longer have food. And you're ugly.
Hi, I'm James Gunn.
And I'm Dean Lorey.
Here are some of our favorite references and Easter eggs from episode 5 of Creature Commandos.
Worked on that with Rick Morales and the director Matt Peters, I think. And what we wanted to do was make it really brutal, like seriously brutal, but also sort of taking into account Clayface's skill set. So we wanted to be able to see things like we had Clayface and Harley Quinn, but a very different version of Clayface. Here we wanted to like really see what Clayface could do, so that you could see, he's looking in this direction, then he needs to get somebody here, so his face pushes out of the backside of him, and then he can look this way, and all that kind of stuff. So the idea was to be able to use him in ways that you might not normally think of in just a normal fight, so that he was doing things that only he could do. It turned into a very extended and terrific sequence, and I give all credit to Rick and Matt for that, because it was great work.
And then it's that great Bane and Batman backbreak moment.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
That's a shapeshifter. Calls himself Clayface. He's dangerous. We have to sneak out.
I love it because, when we were looking for somebody to do Clayface, I was like, it has to be Alan. Because then he could do, he'll have 2 different versions of Clayfaces in the same universe. And so, Alan's one of those guys who can do literally anything. Like you could give him any character, he can find a great way to do it. And so, to me, it was just fun to have, Alan voicing 2 different versions of Clayface. And I think he did a great job, because like in Harley, Clayface is like extremely verbal and almost Shakespearean. And here he's just a grunting, horrible monster. So it's fun to see those 2 sides.
My mind is a world with a delicious new character you'll soon meet.
I can't even.
Hey, I'm James Gunn.
And I'm Dean Lorey, and here are some of our favorite references and Easter eggs from episode 6 of Creature Commandos.
When they first gave it to me, we saw a lot more Batman. And I was saying, I am not ready to commit to that. I'm not ready to commit to that. I'm not ready to commit to that. So I just like more silhouette. And I think it's a great way to show that Batman does exist. He already exists in this universe. Just like when we come to the Superman movie, we see the Superman already exists. He's already known by the people in Metropolis. And so, he's, we don't need to hear the origin story again. So yeah, that's just a way to introduce that Batman is a part of this universe. He's an important part of this universe, and he has an impact on it, including defeating such pretty dangerous, scary people like Phosphorus, who's pretty tough. This is the DCU Batman. Listen, I gotta tell you, I just love Batman. I love him. I've loved him since I was a little kid. He's one of my favorite characters. I've gone on record in the past when I was in Marvel saying my favorite character is Batman. I love him, and we're gonna do great things with him. He's the most popular superhero in the world, and I can't wait for people to see more of him, along with Superman, and together.
Alex, you ain't going nowhere. Won't you get that through your skull?
Listen, I like Rupert Thorne. He's more of a traditional gangster, and I needed a traditional gangster to be the ultimate foil for Phosphorus, and I needed somebody that was really terrible so that Phosphorus could do what he does in his family, which is really bad. And I don't know how he can ever... Listen, he had a bad moment, he was radioactive, and he did what he did, but played by my friend Ben Davis, who is Dutch in Red Dead Redemption. Wonderful voice actor, wonderful actor. He was also in Guardians 2. He did the Belko experiment with me. I've known Ben since the early 2000s when we were part of we were both involved with a theater company at that time. And Ben is also the one who introduced me to Chris Pratt. I know Chris because of Ben.
Don't mess with Rupert Thorne!
Say hi to your wife.
It looks like I'm smiling too. But I'm not.
Hey, I'm James Gunn.
And I'm Dean Lorey.
And here are some of our favorite references
and Easter eggs
from Creature Commandos, Episode 7, the season finale.
We converted one of the abandoned wings for you and your team.
My team?
GI Robot, reporting for service, ma'am.
Nosferatu, King Shark, who we've met in the Suicide Squad, so it's basically that King Shark. The Bride, of course. New improved GI Robot. He's not dead after all. He's a robot.
That's what I was thrilled about.
Yeah, that was Dean's favorite moment when he got to the last.
I could have stood up and cheered.
He's a GI Robot fanboy. And then Khalees, I wish, this is where I'm going to mess up because I guess it's Khalees. I don't know how you pronounce that character's name. So we got a mummy happening. I'm pretty interested in how we do a mummy. I've never been a big mummy guy. I'm a werewolf guy, to be honest with you, which is probably why I like Weasel so much. Oh, and Weasel, of course, is still in the group. And Phosphorus, yeah. I thought he was great. He's a great guy, and he came in. He just did us a solid to come in here and do the King Shark's voice. And it's hard because you're dealing with Sylvester Stallone's iconic interpretation of King Shark. So, Diedrich did an amazing job. He's an amazing guy and an amazing voice actor.
Damn, all it took was some haughty princess to turn Flag into a complete moron. Dudes, am I right?
Sure, John.
My guess is no. I think John Economos is sort of paying the bills for Steve right now, and he probably doesn't want to go back in that god-awful, uncomfortable bodysuit. Who knows? Maybe he'll want to do it. But, I think that there's a lot of Economos going on. People aren't mentioning how much John Economos is in everything these days. We would love for these characters to continue, whether together or separately or both. We know already that Rick Flag Sr. is in Superman, and he's a major, major role in Peacemaker Season 2. So he's continuing on, and then we'll see who else crops up here and there.
When you think about it, if she didn't love me, why would she overreact as much as she did, right? Now I'm only more sure of the connection we have.
What kind of soup is this?
Sparrow dropping soup.
No, tastes disgusting.
Yes.